All right, boys, game wrapped up a little less than an hour ago. It was over pretty quickly, it was over pretty resoundly, and as it stands right now, you have to be pretty happy with what the Huskies put out there on the field for the last 3 hours. So, Washington wins at home 38-3. It's a game you certainly expected to win, but I'm telling you, I had a funny feeling about this one, and to see the boys go out there and execute, it felt good. It felt good to actually see them make sure they got this done because not only did they look as good as I expected, I think it's fair to say they looked even better. They looked good enough to where I feel like maybe I was selling out on them a little early. Although I'm still not there yet, guys. I'm just open to the possibility. So this game kind of went the way I expected. Both teams ran the ball effectively. Both teams ran for about 250 yards. Both teams utilized multiple backs. Both teams were able to just grind out productive offenses mostly through the ground. But the difference was we had a competent passing attack. Oregon did not. Oregon had 31 passing yards the whole game. We had we had three different receptions in this game that went longer than 31 yards. So that's basically the story of the game right there. Oregon, they were somewhat productive running the ball. Royce Freeman had a good game. Not great, but he did good. But they weren't able to bust out any big plays. They weren't able to make any long passes down the field. They weren't able to threaten our defense. And after a promising first quarter, they pretty much crapped out. And most of their yards were just empty yards. So credit to the defense. They forced two turnovers, including a key game-changing one. Oregon was up 3-0. They were driving down to score again. And we forced a fumble, recovered it, returned it, and it was basically off to the races from there. Not for a touchdown, but we returned it a good distance. So defensively, really solid game. We got good pressure on Burmeister, and we contained the Oregon offense, which is still capable of putting up points, although they did not play the quarterback that I expected, and his limitations really were a damper on Oregon's offensive output. So as for our offense, and this is what really interested me today, because I knew we were going to run the ball good tonight, and it took a little while, but we did. Salvon Ahmed had one of the longest plays of the season for us, long touchdown run. Myles Gaskin was money, as he almost always is. And, we ran for over 6 yards a clip. So really, really, really solid. But Jake Browning, it wasn't great, but he's slowly starting to build himself back up, it seems like. Last week was a low point, in my opinion. Even though we won the game in a decisive blowout, the fact that Jake Browning basically ran a wishbone offense, it was so depressing to see a dude who was in the Heisman conversation last year be reduced to that. But today we saw competency. He threw one pick. I don't care about that. It was a punt. It was right at the end of the half. It was 3rd and long. Doesn't matter. It wasn't the best he's been at by any stretch of the imagination, but he hit Dante Pettis for a couple of long plays. Aaron Fuller had a couple big plays in this game. He had Levon Coleman for the screen pass. I know it's a screen, but it's all part of being in the flow of the offense. He actually got the ball downfield a few times, and he looked like an honest drop back pocket quarterback. And I was pretty impressed with what I saw from him. And if that ends up being the case for the rest of this season, which, I need to see it a few more times before I say that, but if we get a better Jake Browning and a better passing attack for the rest of this year, that is what can make me believe that we can win the conference, maybe squeeze into the playoff. Now, if you watch this game, and a lot of you probably didn't, it's on very late, and it's not that interesting of a game, honestly. The guy who was announcing, I think it's Danny Cannell, excuse me, said that there were a lot of upsets today among like top 10 teams, which there were. and that he believes that Washington will be ranked in the top 6 tomorrow. I know Penn State lost, so they're probably going to fall out of it. Ohio State got killed. They're almost certainly out of it. There might have been one other upset up there. A couple other teams that are ranked above us didn't look that good. I don't know if I can see us jumping all the way to number 6. This was a good win, but we're talking about an Oregon team that will be lucky to make a bowl game this year. So I don't know. I think the announcers were overselling things a little bit. I think they got a little carried away when they were talking about this game. But Danny Cannell, the way he was talking about things, I gotta say, it got me thinking again for the first time since we lost that game to Arizona State. I was like, okay, well, we know a couple of these teams are going to lose games because they're going to play each other. They're going to play each other in conference championship games. There's just going to be some, back and forth where teams are going to, by default, have to drop down in the rankings. So, if we keep winning and we win the Pac-12 and we're there at 12-1 at the end of the year, and it could happen. I need to see the passing game continue to progress. I need to see this team, this offense, put a product on the field that deserves credit from voters, because I don't believe that even what we saw tonight is going to be enough. So Dante Pettis is a gamer. Shout out to him, by the way. He broke the NCAA record for punt returns for touchdowns. Aaron Fuller showed me something tonight. That's a good start. We need somebody else to step up and become part of a passing attack, and we need to show the coaches, the players, me, whoever, that we can beat a team through the air. That's what we've been missing that's what has been missing for a good part of this season. That's why I'm not quite a believer yet in our team's playoff potential. But I'm always happy to take down the Oregon Ducks. It hurt to lose to them 12 times in a row. There's no way around it. So it feels good to get a winning streak of our own against them. Good win, all around good effort. Not very much bad to say except the backup offensive lineman. Too many pre-snap penalties. Get that shit cleaned up. I know you guys are, whatever. You guys are backups, but we can't have that. And that's pretty much the game. Dominant defensive performance, and offense is showing strides. All right. At this point, the schedule, we hit our toughest game next week in Stanford, and then we've got Utah and the Cougars both at home. If we can get past Stanford, there are going to be some opportunities for us, but we cannot overlook that game. All right, I'll talk more about that later because that's going to be the game of the year for us. See you guys later.